These gals didn't have any listings this week because we brought them up here to ask some of the tough questions on what's happening in the real estate industry. And I'm going to ask you ladies if you could do me a favor and just introduce yourself to everybody with one little statement as far as who you are, where you work, and how long you've been in the business.
Hi, I'm Sheri Platter. I'm with Keller Williams on Main Street, and I've been in the business 16 years.
Suzanne Bieser, I'm with Coldwell Banker Real Estate. I've been with them the entire time since 2002.
Dorothy Broderson with Legacy Real Estate. I've been in the business about 8 years.
Again, thank you very much for joining us today. I know it's you guys are probably stressing out over this all week long, right? So and before we go on, I know Sheri is going to have to leave early, so she's going to step out before we're completely finished. Right? And it's not that she's upset at me or anything like that yet. Okay. And so just a quick question for you to start with. Inventory's low. It's starting to come up a little bit now, but for the last few months, you guys have been doing a real successful business. What have you been doing that kind of has been continually driving business to you?
Most of my listings that I get are from either my Sphere, past clients, or referrals. So I am, in some cases, competing against other agents, so I just try to have as much knowledge with the market as possible, and service is real important. My tagline, service on a silver platter.
Consistency on the branding.
Exactly.
Okay.
Same thing, I do reach out to my sphere of influence and past clients. I try to stay in front of them all the time with usually Facebook and emails that I send out at least a couple times a month. But I farm a lot too, so that really helps a lot.
So do you find a lot? How often are you farming? Door knocking, whatever. On a monthly
Door
basis?
knock kind of random. That's in addition, but I try to mail out to them at least a month. Every month.
One mailing every month, okay.
Yeah, and then maybe a little bit more if I get a new listing, just listed, just sold in addition to that.
Okay.
I get a lot of my listings from referrals and my Sphere, some from the farm, but I also do a lot of volunteering and reaching out to the community. And after so many years of people seeing me and knowing me that they can trust me, I get random calls from people I don't even know. So I think just giving back, it comes back to you.
Okay, and when you mentioned the referrals, where did the referral base come from?
I actually have a listing right now that's a referral from a lender. And then I have a listing that's a referral from
Every lender's house?
So, and then one that's coming up that's a friend, so from all
Okay.
over.
Okay. Now the other question is, a lot of these listings right now, we've been seeing a lot of sellers thinking that all you have to do is hang a sign in front of my house and it'll sell multiple offers. Are you getting hit as far as, well, will you do it for 1% or will you reduce your commissions on it? So what's your responses on that?
I do get asked, not all the time. I tell them what my fee is up front. And some do ask. I tell them that if I'm doing multiple deals for them, I might be able to adjust in some way. Or if I am a dual agent, I will adjust a little.
Okay, and if they're coming back and say, well, Joe down the street's going to do it for 2%.
Then I would advise them to go and work with them.
That's right. I kind of had a feeling Jeannie was going to chime in on that too, because I remember Jeannie a lot of times saying, oh, I'll walk away agent, I'll walk away from the sucker.
Well, let's be honest, I mean, no matter what the market is, we're gonna get beat up on our commission. So I think it's always good to come well prepared. And if you really understand what the seller wants, which is they all want the same thing, they want to make the most amount of money with the least amount of heartache. So if you can demonstrate that from the beginning, how you're going to do that for them and be the one to bring them the highest possible price, usually the commission is not even an issue for them. And I always tell them, don't focus on the 6%, focus on the 94%, because you have a lot more to lose if you don't have a strong negotiator and someone who knows how to aggressively market it and negotiate on your behalf. And you have to really believe that in yourself, and when you come across that way, commission's rarely an issue. If they are so gung-ho on paying a cheap commission, then go on to the next client. Because every time in my earlier days that I've gone to the cheap commission, I've always regretted it with that client.
Agreed. Yeah. Also, I think it's harder to keep things in escrow, and your experience in being able to do that, there's a price for that as well. And I tell my clients, it's not just about the price on a house, it's terms, and it's a whole gamut, not just price. So they see your value, and not that much of a problem. But there are some people that do, and I say, bye-bye.
And as a disclaimer, commissions are not locked in by any means, and they're all negotiable and everything else on that too. So just for everybody out there that's freaking out because we're saying the dollar amount, yes, so okay. But it's basically what puts food on the table at the end of the day. So you're not going to be working for free. Okay, the other question on the receiving end, multiple offers coming in on properties you have listed or that you may have written on properties that have received multiple offers. What are you doing to try and get your offers accepted? Let's start with Dorothy on this one, just to...
So I kind of get to know the agent on the other side and what the seller wants, so that we are excluding items that the seller doesn't want, so that when I write the contract, it is squeaky clean. So I think a complete contract, squeaky clean, and know what the other person wants and you deliver, that you'll be in the top few.
I mean, hopefully you have a buyer who will listen to what you're trying to tell them to get their offer accepted, or they may have to go through the process a few times. As a listing agent, I know the kind of offers that I like to see, so I really try to educate my buyers on, look, I know what I like to see. And the big thing is, please follow the listing agent's instructions. Because a lot of times I'll have offer instructions on there, and there's nothing more frustrating than, I get 10 offers and, a few of them maybe didn't follow instructions because they didn't have the time to read it. That already is a huge red flag right there. So go to Associated Docs, read the confidential remarks, and really follow instructions. And of course, everything that Dorothy said, you really understand what the seller wants, and, and just hopefully you have a buyer who's willing to take some risks, like removing appraisal contingencies or things like that.
So the thing you put on there was talking to the other agent and finding out really what's going on, right? The key.
And that's what I was going to add, as far as being a buyer's agent or a seller's agent, networking with your peers and communicating with them. I've even had some agents that I don't know that might be out of the area. I give them names of other agents in the area to call so they can see what kind of transaction they had with me.
And how are you networking with them?
On my network.
Yeah, what's your best networking method? Maybe I should bring that one up.
Yes, I'm a social.
So meetings
I like wine.
For you. Bottle and vodka and 4 glasses, please. So, but definitely, you're going out, you are meeting with people, building relationships with them, and things like that is what you're basically getting to and all that. Okay, I think that's really key. Okay, what one single piece of advice would you give right now to an agent in this, besides everything else we've been bringing up, that would really help somebody that's trying to get their business going?
I would say be consistent with keeping your name out there and what you do, and make sure everyone knows that you do sell real estate. And yeah.
Yes, being consistent is important. I think find out what you enjoy doing, because there's many ways to skin a cat to try to get new business. And some things that other agents are really successful at may not really be your thing. Like networking really probably works well for Sheri. That's probably not as strong a point as I am. I really like to farm, I like to door knock, but not everybody likes to door knock. They're terrified of it. So don't do it. Find other ways to get business. If you want to get it through the internet, on websites or whatever. So I would say just pick 1 or 2 things that you know you're good at, that you would enjoy doing, and then be very, 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 very consistent with it. And keep at it, and have patience. As I said last time when I was on the panel up here, is this is not a sprint, it's a marathon, and you have to be patient. So one affirmation that I say to myself all the time is, I don't think about that
Silence is
affirmation.
golden.
Let me get back to it.
I say silence is golden.
Don't
all the
drink so
time.
much the night before you're on a panel. That's the first affirmation. No. I commit to my actions, I'm not tied to my results. I have the patience and I get the results. So what I've noticed, because I've taught classes on how to farm successfully, is everybody goes like gangbusters the first 3, 4, 5, 6 months, and then because they didn't get any business from it, they give up. And sometimes it takes years to build a farm, or years to network and really get yourself out there. It takes time, so be patient and the results come. Don't focus on the results, just keep committing to the actions, and it all builds up to get those results.
But you're doing the affirmations, I can't even say it anymore, to yourself, just to keep yourself motivated and focused. And is that a fair statement, or why are you doing the affirmations?
Well, it's helped me over the years. I mean, I did Mike Ferry in my early years. That would be another thing I'd recommend is to get a real estate coach, whatever one you like. There's a million of them out there. Yes. It really helps. It keeps you accountable. I learned scripts, objection handlers, and things like that, but affirmations were really a big one. And sometimes you do them with a group, they just really bring an energy to you, and some of them really hit home, like that one. I'm committed to my actions, I'm not tied to my results, I have the patience and I get the results. That one is just run true to me. Anytime I'm in a difficult time or business gets slow, I always say that one to myself and say, you know, I'm just gonna stick to my actions. I'm not even gonna worry about if I did or didn't get a listing or the deal in escrow. I'm just gonna stick to my actions over and over and over. And sure enough, every single time, it always blossoms into business.
I totally agree with what you said about sticking with it. For a new agent, I would highly recommend going on tours, coming to the marketing meeting. The more information you can have as a new agent, the more knowledgeable you'll be and the more confidence you'll have in talking to other people out there. Also, I think a new agent needs to really have the resources to be patient and just keep at it, because all of us have periods. Even successful agents have periods where there's a slump, and then all of a sudden you got 3 deals going in the same month. So it is a difficult business, but it's a wonderful business.
Yeah.
I'd like
Very
to,
Yeah, she can get a full round of applause for that one, right?
and she also brought up about the confidence too. And the more you're out there, the more you interact, the more confidence you'll have. And I really agree with that, with getting a real estate coach as well, because when you learn scripts and objection handlers and you internalize them, you become so confident out there that it's hard for someone not to work with you. And I really, really recommend that for anybody who's either struggling or they want to build a business more. I really recommend getting a real estate coach.
Very good. And let me change one of these last questions on you a little bit.
Impromptu? That's not.
Yeah, exactly right. So I said I might do that. So when you first got started, I mean, right now you guys are talking about years of experience and what's been working for you and everything else, but when you first got started, what were you doing your very first month or your first year? Were you floundering? Did you have somebody helping you? How did it go? Were you getting discouraged? Tell me what it flashback.
Well,
Go back.
Back 16 years. I actually sold 17 houses in my first year.
17? Did anybody come by and say that's way too much? It's like,
I had no clue. I didn't know. I thought that was the way it was supposed to be. I mean, when I started, I said, I was a stay-at-home mom for 9 years and a recruiter before that. So when I got into the business, I said, this is going to be my job. This is my career full time. So I farmed the neighborhood I worked in. And in the last 10 years, I've sold, well, it's a small neighborhood, 90 houses, but I've sold probably 15 or 20 of those 90 houses.
well, I was going to try and have you say something that's really encouraged people who haven't done a lot. I think you just blew them out of the market right now.
But I think if you think
I'm
it's
ready to
not,
quit the business in your first year.
no, but I think if you visualize that this is the way it's supposed to be, it will be that way. You just work hard.
Well, I think you're right as far as nobody coming by and say, well, you should sell 3 houses your first year or whatever. Nobody put a cap on it. So kept it open. Okay, good.
I think like what Sheri said, if you treat it like a business, you'll end up succeeding. I think a lot jump into it, not, I like looking at houses, they're so pretty. I don't like looking at houses, to be honest with you, but I love the business. I did okay in my first year as well, not as good as Sheri, but my second year, I did the Mike Ferry, and I really saw my business take off dramatically after that. So again, I can't emphasize if you're new or struggling, I can't emphasize the coach thing. For some, it may not be for everybody, but I think it's very helpful.
For me, it's a little bit different. I had already bought and sold 19 properties before I became a realtor. And so...
Your realtor had to hate when you got your license, right?
So I met a lot of realtors that I thought, oh, I can do better than that. I also came from a negotiating sales background, so my first year in real estate was easier because I had all that negotiation experience. And my first year, I was nominated for Rookie of the Year. Susan Shaw got it that year. Congratulations to her. But yeah, I didn't know any better. I look at those charts now when I got in, and I see it dip because I got in at 2007. And I'm thinking, I'm so glad I didn't really look and pay attention to that because it might have had something to do with my mindset. So I think you do have to do the affirmations. Don't pay attention to what the media is saying. Don't pay attention to what the negative realtors are saying. Just go and do your job, and it'll come.
Very good. Okay, now I know there's one other question I'm going to ask you, and that is, right now a lot of people get desperate. You get a client that has a pulse, and they're going to get them into a house no matter what. Anybody have a client like that? Lenders or realtors? And have you ever fired a client, and if so, why? No, nothing?
Yeah, I did fire, it was a buyer, and I mean, I was hungry, so I went with her, and she was San Leandro, San Lorenzo, and those are not my areas. And I went out probably for 4 weeks with her, and something was not right in each situation, and I knew something could work for her. I just told her she needed to find someone else. I was not able to.
I worked on a team with an agent in my office, and we did fire some high-end sellers who were they weren't very nice. And I think after a couple months of trying to sell their home, which was overpriced, and they just were very rude, and so we fired them. But recently I did, and I rarely fire clients, but I did fire a buyer. She was a cash buyer, and she's very nice, but we wrote 2 offers. Cash, mind you, and I could not talk sense into her at what price she needed to be at. She just thought, because I'm cash is king, and I can offer 10% less. And you know, I kind of thought she'll go through the process at least once or twice and get it. But after the second time when she didn't get it, and she just said, well, this is ridiculous, I said, I think it's best we part ways. So sometimes you just have to move on.
Yeah, I fired 2 clients. It took me a lot of time before I actually fired them. One of them wanted me to give more of a rebate than Redfin was giving him. And I said, no, I'm not giving you over 1/3 of my income. Go ahead and go with Redfin. And I'd already bought and sold 2 properties for this individual. The other one, I actually had an investor that was buying properties at the auction steps. We were doing volume. It was worth it, but it got so time consuming to fill out his form, take all these pictures, look at everything, that finally I said enough. And as soon as I did that, my business took off. I had no idea how much energy he was sucking from my body. Sorry. Seriously, it really took a lot of time and energy, and as soon as I stopped that, I had so much time to farm, knock on doors, do the things I should be doing to get more business.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, that's all the questions I have for you. Does anybody have any questions we'd like to nail them? Are you open to that?
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Any questions from the audience? Yes.
What kind of a CRM do you use?
What type of CRM does she use?
I use Top Producer.
She's Outlook.
Same. My company provides one that I don't use, but.
My company does.
I'm not going to make any comment about that.
My Facebook is really big too, and I'm very mixed. I mean, I have a business page, but I don't really put it, I hoodlet stuff over to it, but I put personal stuff as well as my business. I just mix it all together. So people see that I'm real, besides business. I'm a grandma too, so I put all my baby pictures up there.
Love baby pictures.
Thank you.
Yeah, cute. And I think one of the things that should be on there too is, I heard it said before, the best CRM is actually the one you'll use. So if you're using Outlook or anything else, or I've seen people use Excel very successfully, and anything, just fabulous systems out there, but if you never use them, it won't do anything for you. Virginia, you get it?
I think that paid assistance, anyone in the real estate business that you can do this, the selling and negotiating, and have somebody take care of the paperwork for you.
So-
Always very important.
That would probably
So-
be one thing I'd recommend is get a TC at a minimum.
Do you have a resume, Virginia?
Shout out.
Yes. Do you have a resume, Virginia? They're looking for an assistant.
I would be very happy to do that if my eye doctor would help me. And I didn't have bad teeth.
Well, don't put that in the resume. That'll come on the interview.
If that happened, I'd be selling.
So, is anybody using an assistant of any sort?
I have 3 part-time assistants and some are better at some things than others. So I don't have full-time, but she's right. When I start getting bogged down with stuff, no, I need to delegate this. And I definitely always pay a TC. Because you need to do it a couple of times as a new agent to totally understand. But your value is to be out there with the clients and to save, $400. Are you kidding me? With all that time?
Yeah, I said it to
They're
agents.
underpaid.
I said it to me time and time again, you are not an escrow coordinator, transaction coordinator.
There's another part of that is that education system. We need to work on getting our teachers and our paid assistants so they can teach instead.
Well, that's a whole different meeting. We're gonna get the teachers up here and then we'll see if we can get them. But I agree with you, Virginia. I think that would be great. Let them,
Much better with our assistants if we'll all get trying to help teachers have time in the classroom.
and these guys that are looking for voices on the Realtor party, you are the voice, Virginia. Believe me, you have definitely got to be the voice of the Realtor party with your opinions and your views and everything else. I think that's awesome. Thank you.
And Sheri does donate money to the schools, so she is helping.
And I would highly advise all of you to support the schools. I started a program in 2011 where I support schools, every house I sell, or almost every house, there's some circumstances, where I donate $500 to the school of my client's choice. That's where I'm going right after there. I have a donation at Foothill, but I've been able to raise almost $18,000 to the school. And when you do give, it does come back, as Dorothy said, it really does.
Yes. Okay. Anything else, or are we going to move on? One more question, or are we going to move on? Thank you, ladies, very much.